Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again. This is Empire State of Baseball, episode number 161, airing on April 27th of the year 2026. We are airing on X, YouTube, and presented by Diamond Sports Media and powered by StreamYard. Well, Here we are. It's officially the last show for us in the month of April. It's hard to believe. Opening week was just over a month ago. You look back, yesterday was exactly 1 month since the Mets debuted. Yankees, I know, had the random Wednesday night game to start the year, so we're just over a month into the 2026 season. I know we'll get into a lot of that today, completely different trajectory for both our teams, but we'll dive more into that a little later. But we're gonna have a really fun show tonight. Rich, how you feeling on this fine evening?
I mean, I'm feeling great, feeling good about my team. Can't say the other on the other half of the East River over there. I know we're gonna get more into it on the Empire Express. Joe's got a Mets Minute that went viral over on TikTok and YouTube. I'm sure we want to replay that later on tonight. But love these kind of shows. They're at the plate episodes, which means we're gonna have a really special guest on with us in a little bit. Joe, how we doing?
I am doing well. I'm excited to have our guest on today, which is phenomenal. I'm okay. I've come down a little bit. My blood pressure is returned to normal. It is a Met off day, so hopefully we can keep that pretty even keel since last night. No guarantees. Lose. We'll get to the Mets later in the show.
They can't lose tonight.
Can't lose tonight.
Tom, you're back and looking great. Love the shades. Love the azaleas.
Of course. Yeah. It's been a tough couple weeks for my Mets. I'm going to be honest. I didn't see when I took the Mets with the second overall pick, I saw great things. I saw an NL East championship. I saw
wait a minute.
The playoffs, and it's just been tough, man. It's been really tough because I thought with all the money and the soda and I thought
I will say this was not on the schedule for today. But let's take the fact that Tom not only cursed the New York Mets, but he had also cursed the Boston Red Sox, who let go of their entire coaching staff. And let's take a look at what the standings look like so far for that team draft. And Tom pulling up with 87 wins. Thanks to the Red Sox and the Mets and their slow start of the season. I'm in third with the 94. Corey's got 105 wins. And Joe, so far in first place, 110 wins there, Joe.
I just continue to dominate these games that we play, Rich. I mean, you guys can't touch me. This is crazy. Tom bringing up the caboose. This is the only consolation to him cursing my team is he is in dead last. He is the Chicago White Sox of his own division. That's how or even worse than that right now.
So listen,
the only saving grace is somehow Corey's even close to me with the Phillies dragging his team by an anchor.
I know.
Yeah.
So, Phillies, we got the Braves.
We had to clear house in Boston. It was the vibes were bad, and I mean, we're gonna fire Mendy this week, right? And then that'll turn the vibes around there.
Listen, again, before we get into the match,
I think we're gonna be okay.
I don't want anybody to lose their job, but Alex Cora is a free agent. There should be a half the teams of baseball lineups to talk.
Well, but also it's not. I don't know if you guys saw it this week, or I think it was today it came out because he's still technically under contract, not under contract like he'd have to agree to give away his money from the Red Sox that they're paying him over the next 3 years or 2 years. So
they fired him. What does that matter? What kind of contract did you sign?
I don't know. Listen, now, was this on the cesspool notice Twitter? Yes, but I was reading something that, like, if he signs with another, the Red Sox have to pay him out, but if he signs elsewhere, they don't. So he either can pay to do nothing or... Listen, I don't know, man. I saw.
It doesn't matter.
LI tweeted.
If the Mets turn around and offer him $8 million a year, he's going to the Mets for the next 3 years. Anyway, that's a conversation for later.
Look, Tom, if Alex Cora is pulling up though to any organization for an interview, what should he be wearing?
Certainly not a Red Sox hat. He's not welcome wearing that anymore.
Oh, not that.
Listen, I don't know about interviews, but I imagine he has some time. He has some free time on his hands. Maybe hit the links. Maybe just kind of get some workouts in And nothing better to do that in some Roback. Of course, I got the Roback. I got the old Azalea collection on here now. I see you got Corey rocking some Roback up there. And we are in the weird seasons of the Northeast where it's warm, it's cold, it's hot, it's raining.
Sprinter.
Roback has you covered. And again, it's not just the golf stuff. They got awesome shorts. They got their looper shorts, which are the kind of shorts with a belt loop. If you're looking for a little more a nice pair of shorts to wear to like a dinner or something like that. They got more casual stuff, bathing suits. They still got the polos, the Q-zips, the hoodies, all that good stuff as well. Head over to roback.com. Use promo code TWOSPIL15 to get yourself 15% off your first order. That is Roback, RHOBACK.com. Promo code TWOSPIL15.
Yeah. Listen, I echo everything Tom said. I love Roback. My closet's half full of them, and I'm wearing a nice, comfortable green polo tonight. But anyway, back to the show, and we have a really, really fun show tonight, too. We're returning our At the Plate segment for this evening, and joining us at the plate tonight will be Jack Lambert, Director of Baseball Operations at Driveline Baseball. We also have our game segment tonight of the lineup card. Again, the lineup card's a really fun one where all of us on the show will try to guess who are the missing players from a Mets and or Yankees lineup that's presented to us tonight. And then we're going to wrap it up with the Empire Express. Tale of two teams, tale of two seasons thus far in New York. There'll be a lot to talk about in the second half of the show on both the Mets and the Yankees. But you know what? Let's go ahead and dive right in. Again, we got an At the Plate segment tonight. Rich, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick intro?
Will do. All right. It's now time for At the Plate. And our special guest is an alumni of the University of Notre Dame, where he achieved his Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. In January 2023, he would join Driveline Baseball as its data science and baseball operations analyst, would go on to become their coordinator in baseball operations, and on to his current role as the director of baseball operations. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, At the Plate is Jack Lambert. Jack, what's going on?
How we doing, fellas?
How we doing? Jack,
good.
Glad
to have you.
Yeah, out in Seattle, but excited to talk some ball, Driveline, New York, whatever we want to do.
I think this might be the furthest distant At the Plate we've ever had here. We, generally talk to a lot of people on the East Coast, sometime in the Central. I don't know if we've gone all the way out to Seattle to pull a guest here At the Plate, but Jack, let's get right into it. Pleasure having you on here. Honestly, got the simplest question that may have the longest answer. What is Driveline Baseball? I mean, we have a lot of folks here in the chat who are big baseball fans, probably hearing Driveline Baseball for the first time over the last couple of years. We heard the stories with Sean Manaea this offseason with Ahmed Rosario, among many other players. But what is Driveline Baseball, Jack?
Yeah, so Driveline Baseball is a third-party player development company. So what that means is we're not affiliated with any individual team formally. I'm sure you can see people online affiliate us with plenty of players and coaches. But players come to us to train and get better. We initially started with kind of the weighted balls, what we're probably most famous for. But that's since developed into everything. We train hitters, pitchers. We have a data science department. That's what I help lead to help give athletes the best insights they can to kind of shape and take hold of their career. So as far as guys that listeners may know, Shohei Ohtani is probably the biggest client we've had. Guys like Mookie Betts, along with some New York guys, Severino, Sean Manaea, and then Ahmed Rosario currently, just to name a few.
Awesome. And Jack, your involvement with Driveline Baseball, how did you get involved? And tell us again, like, what is the president of baseball operations responsible for?
Yeah. So kind of a confusing title. I essentially just run our data science department. And how this started was I was studying computer science, always interested in baseball, and kind of using the analytics route to really kind of build up my technical skills. And then I had experience with Driveline because a lot of the weighted ball stuff that came about from Driveline is actually just reformatting old like Olympic track and field techniques. Like it's 40 years ago, guys were throwing lower and heavier weight discus or hammer or all this stuff that just was neglected in baseball. So when I was playing baseball, my dad was a thrower in college. He thought this underload, overload, weighted ball program might be good. So I was introduced to Driveline very young. Then when it came time to start applying for jobs, they had an opening, and luckily it stuck, and been able to grow in that role since, and do a lot of work now, kind of building models to support our big league clients, and then along with some reporting to help them in season with upcoming matchups they have, or set kind of training goals for the off season, what we want to work on there.
Mm-hmm. So Jack, tell me a little bit about the recruitment process of Driveline. Are players, I mean, is Driveline at the point now where players are coming to you? Are you cold calling players or cold calling their agents and saying, hey, you know, we've been tracking your guy for the last few rounds of the rotation, last few weeks of at-bats. We see something we think we can help you with, or we see something that's being exploited. Tell us a little bit about how that happens and what you are doing that makes the most immediate impact on those players that come to you, whether it's with the problem or whether it's just wanting to get better.
Yeah, so it's definitely a combination of both. I mean, with big leaguers especially, word of mouth is just huge. For a guy whose career is like potentially worth hundreds of millions of dollars, like they want someone they can trust. So honestly, the best marketing is going to be if Sevy were to tell one of his teammates that he had a great experience here, that's going to do more heavy lifting than any piece of marketing we put out. But on the same hand, we have great relationship with a bunch of different agencies, and we're constantly tracking with all the tools we develop who is lagging in certain skills that we believe we can get better. So if we can find a guy like Ahmed Rosario, who since training with us has gained about 3 miles an hour of bat speed, while not really increasing his whiff at all, been able to hit righties a lot better. Like if we can find that archetype and we can make that reach out to the athlete, specifically saying like, hey dude, like you're very similar to him and we've done this. Like that also happens too. We have facilities in Seattle, Tampa, and Arizona. So we're constantly tracking who's coming into town, seeing if we have any connections there to potentially reach out, see if we can get a guy in their off day or before a game or whatever that is.
I was gonna say, Jack, you might have just answered my next question, but I know you said you're located, the HQ is in Seattle. So, I mean, certainly you got one team in your backyard, but everyone else is pretty far. So you're seeing guys kind of just rolling through those other sites. You got plans on opening up things elsewhere across the country, New York, Chicago, those kind of areas, or we're sticking with what we got.
Yeah. So the biggest for us, we opened Phoenix 2.5 years ago, and then Tampa was the fall of 2024, and those were the biggest for us just because that's where all the spring training is located. That we wanted to hit those. No immediate sites on any more locations, but yeah, can never say never as far as, yeah, of course it'd be awesome to have something in New York, Chicago, just the hubs across the country.
Yeah, it's interesting too. And I gotta say, I know a lot of the focus on our show here is at the major league level, but I know Driveline, it's not just the major leagues. You have youth, high school, college, pro, whatever it might be. Just want to see, from your standpoint, if you're someone with a younger child who you're looking to improve their game, some at the high school, college level, how does each program and what you guys offer tend to differ depending on the level of that customer?
Yeah, I think kind of one thing Driveline gets bad rep that I don't think is necessarily warranted is the Driveline is just kind of coaching for pitching injuries, which I believe we publish the most public research out of anyone on combating those pitching injuries. So we just published a youth weighted ball study proving that our weighted ball programs do not increase torque on the elbow. So everything is tailor-made to the specific space that athlete is in. We have a ton of data on guys of different heights and weights and biomechanical movements and patterns. So we're meeting everyone where they're at. It's not the out of the box. You're getting the Sean Mania program for a 12-year-old. And we run our academy. Our academy is our youth teams. We train youth in addition to having our own teams. and we are extremely conservative on the way we manage pitcher workloads for that youth level when guys are growing so fast, and that things are just going to get out of whack when you hit a 10-inch growth spurt at age 14. Like, you need to be extremely careful about caring for that, so guys aren't playing third base and then pitching and then catching the next day, or throwing back-to-back days out of the bullpen. So definitely meeting the athletes where they're at from that perspective, but still having to recognize that what it takes in this day and age to make it to the next level is increase essentially the engine. And by that, I mean how hard you can swing the bat and how hard you can throw the ball. Those still have to be priorities, but we just have to adjust the programming to make sure we're doing it in a responsible and safe way.
Now, Jack, you to focus in a little bit on the youth side of this, and there's so much discussion now. We see youth players undergoing Tommy John surgery as early as 14 years old. So like when you get a young kid in, when you get, or usually probably led by a very ambitious father who thinks he's got, the next Nolan Ryan and whatever, which is fine. But what do you see the most when you get those 9, 10, those 9 to 12-year-old kids coming in here? What's like the work? Like, do you see a pattern of a particular bad habit that you identify for kids coming in? And on the same end, what's a good habit without forcing your kid to just keep throwing daily? What's a good habit to have those young children undertake? So if you could just kind of lean into to that and what you're seeing, especially at the youth level, as people are bringing their children to you guys.
Yeah, I think honestly the biggest trend we see of athletes that are high school or lower that come in is just that the physical development's not there. And I mean that from like a strength perspective. Like, it does us no good to max out the mechanical efficiency of a 150-pound, 6'2", 15-year-old who is freshly 6'2", doesn't really know how to move in his body. Like, the best thing we can do to increase the safety of throwing harder and allow you to throw harder is to get in the weight room and kind of dominate that area. So we focus a ton on we call it the high performance side, working with like we're testing guys regularly on force plates, different sprint metrics, and then building their strength programming from that side. So I'd say that's probably the biggest underlying thing, is that guys are hyper focused on maxing out mechanical efficiencies when that's far from the issue. We're going to be able to throw harder, safer, if we can get up to speed physically, which is extremely hard to do as kids are going through puberty and everything, but absolutely something that needs to be addressed. I think on the other side, it's workload management, which I don't mean to imply that high school coaches are taking a intentionally harmful stance on things, but there are so many guys who are playing shortstop and closing for their high school team, or even if they're not playing, they're taking ground balls like in practice and then still pitching. And that type of stuff can be really harmful, just as far as managing workload and making sure guys are built up for the season. So that's one of the things we offer is a tool called Pulse. I think it was just shown on the screen. That's a little sensor you wear right on your UCL, and is tracking every throw you make. So instead of the high school kid knowing that he threw 60 pitches this week off a mound, it's accounting for how did you warm up for that day? How many pitches you throw there? Did you also shag BP and maybe go a little too hard and screwing around with your buddies to like throw the ball in or make Jeter throws in practice, whatever? So I think that tool is extremely helpful in getting a more accurate gauge for how much workload you are exerting on a given day rather than just raw throw count.
So, and that leads me to the next question, which is, okay, we see these pitch-in labs in particular. We're maximizing velocity. We're maximizing spin. We're trying to get the most mechanical efficiency out of the human body that we can get. And I feel like we're starting to reach the upper limits of what the human body is capable of in its current iteration. So then the question is, now that we've started to maximize that velocity, that spin rate, and that mechanical efficiency, as we've increased velocity, injuries and length of innings pitch has started to decline, at least on the pro level. So, and whether or not that's a correlation or causation, what do you think is the next step to say, okay, we've maximized the mechanical efficiencies, the velocity? Is it time to try and borrow from the past and start building up pitchers in the stamina sense, in the injury prevention sense? And how are those just competing philosophies, or are we at the edge of where we can figure out what is a particular pitch? Is it the bad habits of playing shortstop on your pitch day? What's that next step, and how do we move to that next level?
Yeah, so I think there are two answers, and one is way easier than the other. The first would be figuring out workload management. And I think this is something we see regularly from MLB all the way down to youth level. I think it can be really harmful at the youth level to have the pitch smart guidelines or individual high school state guidelines. They're the same on March 1st as they are on July 30th. Mm-hmm. There is no way that the kid on March 1st is built up in the same way he is on July 30th. Mm-hmm. And then that, I think, transcends all the way to the big league level. One of the guys who works here used to be a pitcher in the Mets organization. His name is Josh Heshka, now with the Rangers. And he always showed up to spring training, built up, I believe, a lot better than his peers. And that's by actually counterintuitively doing more work in February to be ready to take on that workload that the regular season is going to demand. And the guys who approach it right are like your Yoshinobu Yamamoto's. We actually published a blog that argued his Game 7 World Series appearance on no rest was not that harmful for what he had built up based on our simulated workload of his entire season, that he had the chronic base built up to be able to do that. So I think that's the first answer, is figuring out the workload side. So guys are showing up to spring training more ready to compete, more ready to take on bigger workloads rather than a semi-arbitrary, all right, you're going 3 innings today, then you're going 4 innings next start, then 5 innings next. The much larger issue, which I don't know how we solve, is changing these biomechanics labs in that right now it's inverse kinematics is what we call it. So that means cameras essentially are seeing all your joints and we're measuring the elbow torque. Mm-hmm. That does not measure the strain on the UCL. So in reality, that elbow torque, you've probably seen the stat that like the torque put on the elbow should snap the UCL with every throw. Mm-hmm. The reason it doesn't is because that's distributed through the bicep, through the forearm, that force isn't actually all on the UCL. Mm-hmm. The next step is figuring out a thing called forward dynamics, which is essentially if we can isolate how much the biceps firing, how much the forearm's firing, and then how much strain is left on that UCL, we can then better apply biomechanics to injury-specific issues. And that's a much larger issue because I believe it's only been done really for like in research with Army veterans who mm-hmm. have gone through injuries where they're learning how to walk again and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And if you just imagine using the biomechanics on someone learning how to walk very slowly as opposed to throwing a baseball, which might be the most violent motion a human can make, there's a big gap there to get to that. So that's the longer, nerdier answer of how we can eventually get there. But sorry, that was a lot.
No,
that's why we asked.
Jack Lambert with us, Director of Baseball Operations over at Driveline Baseball. It's been awesome having you on here, Jack. We're going to have some fun and play lineup card. I did want to take a question, though, from the chat. This is from one of our regulars here, Jake Petruzzi, essentially asking, is it better for pitchers entering an offseason to continue to throw in that offseason or to just take a break, take it easy for them? What have you seen based on maybe what you're seeing firsthand over at Driveline? But what's a recommendation that you would be making for pitchers as they enter an off season?
Yeah, it's definitely case to case, but I would say the break you take should be shorter than you think, but that does not mean that you're throwing with full intent the whole time. Like maybe 2 weeks off, not throwing a baseball, but then we're working into it, throwing 50%, and we're working back up in that return to throw. I believe our rule of thumb is roughly for every week you do not throw, you cannot throw max intent for 3 more weeks. I want to say that's what it is. Mm-hmm. So if you think about that, if I take 2 weeks off and then I got 6 weeks until I'm throwing max intent again, then I only have 2 months left of my off season or so. There are ways to do it. I would say most of our guys continue throwing. Definitely not at max intent though. They are focused way more on the weight room early in the off season. Kind of keeping the arm loose, but definitely not getting to those max intent bullpens until later in the offseason.
Thank you for that, Jack. Thank you, Jacob, for the question. We're going to get into lineup card in a little bit and test the Mets-Yankees knowledge once again of the founding fathers. Even Jack's going to play a little bit of defense, hopefully. We don't want these other guys getting points. We want Jack to get some points. But before we do that, Joe, let's talk about YouTube.
Yes. You can join us on X, but YouTube is our preferred platform. Why? We can interact with you, the chat, here on the show. So do us a favor, go over to YouTube, join our 560 subscribers, type in Empire State of Baseball, and hit that subscribe button. It's free, and help us get to, we're trying to get to 750, and we're going to do another giveaway at 750 subscribers. So definitely check us out on YouTube. Send it to your mom, dad, brother, whoever's got a YouTube account, and hit the subscribe button for them as well. We really appreciate it, and it really helps us a lot.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Let's get into it. It's lineup cards, one of my favorite games here on ESB. Jack, every single week we play a different trivia game here. Again, testing the knowledge of the boys, keeping everybody on the up and up. Today's game, we're going to throw in a former Mets and Yankees lineup, and we're just trying to guess the missing components of that real lineup. So, Joe, you were nice enough to present the Mets question for today. So let's start off with the New York Mets side. And you see the standings there. Joe in the lead at 4. I'm at 3. Corey's at 2. Tom's at 1. We do a 3-at-bat system. If you get one right, that's an at-bat. If you K, it's an at-bat. So everybody gets 3 A-Bs per question. And in this order, Jack, you're going to get first dibs. Then it's going to be Tom, then Corey, then me. All right, I'll remind everybody of the order when we go in. All right, Joe, here's the question. Let's go.
Okay. This game was July 8th, 2012. The New York Mets played the Chicago Cubs. And this was a particularly interesting game. It was a 3-home-run game by a specific player. I won't mention who because their name is not up there. So let's see if you guys can figure out who we're missing here.
Jack, you
Jack,
also
here,
take a backward.
I just want to jump in real quick here, Jack. The important thing is, so Joe is a known cheater in all these games. So we're really just trying. So we should all work together to get these. We want to make sure Joe doesn't get any points. So let's just say before Jack goes, right? We're missing a first baseman, we're missing a right fielder, and we're missing the catcher. So just wanted to, hey, let's work together here. Let's collude a little bit.
Yeah, we're still in the National League days of the pitcher hitting, so we don't have to worry about a DH. But Jack, what are we thinking?
Whoa, let's see. 2012 Mets. Can I get a right fielder? Would it be like Duda?
It is not Lucas Duda.
All right, so it's a K. All right, Tom, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, Duda felt like that could have been. Are you gone? I don't know. We'll say right fielder. God, I feel like he's probably gone at this point. Give me Beltran, right fielder, batting 4th.
No,
he's gone, right?
I think he was traded 2011.
Okay, so we weren't that far.
Yeah, you were close. I'm gonna go lean up first base Ike Davis before he got the crazy Arizona flu or whatever it is.
First base is Ike Davis.
Okay.
Was
he batting 4th? Yeah.
Yes.
So Corey got that completely correct.
So Corey got that right.
So you got that. You got a hit in that at bat. Very nice. I want to think about that.
All right. So we need a right fielder and we need a catcher. We assume the catcher's probably hitting 8th, probably late hitting.
Well, let's go batting 8th, catching Omir Santos.
Oh, I love the guess.
No, good guess, but no.
I love the guess.
Back to the top. Jack, second. Oh, wait. Joe, you want to give any hints on to who's remaining?
Number 2 is very unexpected. The catcher is well known for being a personal catcher of somebody.
Okay, thanks for nothing. Jack, you're up again.
Yeah, I might be cooked, fellas.
Yeah, Joe does.
Two ABs.
Yeah, I don't even know if I got a good guess here.
You could always take a backwards K if you want to.
Yeah, I think I'll have to. Maybe better luck with the Yankees.
No worries.
I don't think you'll be the only one there.
I feel like I know where you're going on that personal catcher thing. I just need to think on it a second. Well, again, we're colluding against Joe. I imagine it could have been like an R.A. Dickey personal catcher. You know, the guy.
It's Chris Young personal catcher. It literally, you got the pitcher right there, batting 9th.
Well, yeah, he caught other
guy
games.
Can catch other people. My point is,
doesn't that defeat the purpose of a personal catcher? How's a personal catcher catching multiple people?
Oh, Jesus. I'm just trying to help the people here. I'm trying to have us think about things.
I think I'm just going to aim towards one position. I'm just going to like.
You're in the Dickey era, though. You're in that
so like, I don't know,
era.
Corey. Like, again, we're maybe helping you out later, but like, who was catching Dickey? Who is catching a knuckleball? You usually need a specific guy catching a knuckleball. And yes, Rich, that guy does play more than once every 5 days. So he could have caught Chris Young if R.A. Dickey is there too. That being said, I don't know. I'm going to take a backwards K.
All that for a backwards K.
I think I know.
I could have
second AB.
Corey knows. Corey knows.
Yeah.
Corey's one.
R.A. Dickey, and I think he was included in the trade when they sent him to Toronto. Is it Josh Tolley?
Catcher it is 8. Josh Tolley.
Thank you. And Rich, that is it's a team effort.
There we go.
Effort.
Is he Corey's 2 for 2 with the softball glove? If you remember,
yes.
That's what I meant by personal catcher. He was R.A. Dickey's personal catcher.
All right, so
what you're saying, Joe? What you're saying is R.A. Dickey's personal catcher caught someone else. Okay. Cool.
Okay. So right field batting second.
Right field.
And you really and the way Joe put it, it wasn't like an obvious person. Like, and you want to think batting there is an obvious person. But just for the sake of the game,
could it be someone who's not known as an outfielder? Could be like a first baseman type guy, third baseman type guy who just got kicked to the outfield for a day.
We know it's not Duda. Duda was guessed.
All right, so let's just go for the sake of the game till we get to the next set of at bats. I'll go Mike Cameron, batting second right field.
No.
Okay. All right, your last hint before we get to the last bit of at bats here. What do you got?
He was an adventure. This player was an adventure. This is a name that would get your heart racing when you watched him.
Oh boy.
Jack, anything?
Ooh. That threw me more off.
I got nothing. 2 backwards Ks on the day.
Again, I don't think you're going to be alone there.
I think I've guessed this guy. Oh, go on, Joe.
Also, to be fair, there was a typo in the date of this game. It was the 28th against the Diamondbacks. But I'm just want for the record.
I think I've guessed this player before. I'm unsure when he was a Met, but I like the name. We're going Lastings Milich. Right?
No, a little late for him.
There you go.
I think I've guessed him before, and I just want to say it again.
Yeah. Your last hint threw me off. But I'm just going to stick with the original name because I'll kick myself if I try to get cute. I think they traded him at some point, so this is just before the deadline. I'm going to say Marlon Berg.
No.
Corey does not go 3 for 3, and I'm going to take my guess right now. I'm going Mike Baxter.
No, also good guess. It is Jordani Valdespin.
Valdespin. He mostly played second, I think, with the Mets.
When I saw that name,
Jordani Valdespin out for a game.
Oh man,
Guys,
that's a good one.
Point.
I was hitting second. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
So Joe gets a point there. Corey gets 2, but it's all right, Jack. We got one more set of these. We got to do the Yankees side of it because we're a split show. And Tom's got the Yankees lineup card. So let's see what we got here, Thomas.
Yeah, we went this day in 2017, a favorite year for Yankee fans. We got a game against the Red Sox, who Alex Cora, was he there actually, or is he there the next year? I think he actually shows up the next year. So,
Jack, you have the guest advantage. So you're gonna go first again. Then Joe's gonna go. Then I'm gonna go. Then Corey. So Jack, right back to you.
All right, let's see what we got here. So. Left field,
first base,
DH, first base,
and DH. Yep.
It's just. Could I get like a 4-hole DH Gary Sanchez?
That is a good guess. It is incorrect. But Gary is certainly around at this time.
Great guess, Joe.
I had to pull it up.
It's not Stanton because Castro's still there. This name came up on Twitter earlier today. I wonder if it's him. Aaron Hicks, left field.
Aaron Hicks is playing left field, batting second. Yes.
Wow. Joe again with another.
Came up on Twitter today. That's the only reason he was my first.
All right, so outfield's done. We need first base and DH. Batting fourth and DH, Matt Holliday.
That is correct. Matt Holliday was DHing in this game.
All right, Corey.
Oh boy, we're just getting into. I need to start using older lineups.
First base.
First base, 2017.
My guess, I don't even know if it's the right year. If Rich didn't do his guess, I was going to guess Chris Davis DH, but with a K. But that's out the window. First base. Oh, I was so fixated on DH. First base, I just got no, that's way too late. Let's go. Is it Greg Bird?
It is not Greg Bird.
Wow, so it's not. Okay, so that's who I thought was like the obvious answer there. Tom, you want to give a hint before the next set of at-bats?
No, you guys took 2 hits off the first time. I'm not giving you shit.
You want to give like a very generic hint for this next set of at-bats?
This guy has 2 legs.
Thanks, Jack.
And assumingly has not been the drive line.
Oh, yeah,
maybe he has. I don't know.
Jack, what was it? Drive line's been around since 2008. So
I think we started hitting in about 2018. So what had to been after? But
I mean, this guy, the guy could have went after. You never know.
Jack, what do you got?
I think Greg Bird was going to be my guess. So I think I'm taking the backwards K here.
Backwards K for Jack. Joe, another chance for a point here.
I don't think he ever played first base.
I don't know if I will actually.
Vernon Wells.
It's not Vernon Wells.
No, he never played first base.
Wait, I don't. Tom, I'm kind of stumped. I mean, Greg Bird's a great guess. I'm just trying to think of somebody who might have been fixed all around. I feel like it's too early for the other player I would pull for this.
Ooh, I got one.
I feel like it's a season early for Luke Voigt, so I don't think it's him. You know what? I'm going to take a backwards K. I need a little bit more time. I'm taking the backwards K and I'm going to throw it over to Corey.
I'm going to do something that Joe did, and a guy who's like out of position from what he's known. I'm just throwing this out there. Ryan McCann at a first base appearance.
Brian
It's
McCann.
not Brian McCann.
That's
I'm
Brian McCann.
assuming
Excuse
Brian
me.
McCann.
Brian
It is
McCann.
not Brian McCann. No.
Brian McCann. I meant. Excuse me.
Brian McCann. Yeah. Okay. Tom, you want to give us another?
Frankly, no, I don't. I mean, I didn't get a point the first round, and I'm not getting a point this round.
Such a sore loser.
No, I'll give you one. I think I'm going to give you a massive hint.
Really?
This guy, the previous year, led the majors in homers.
Whoa.
That's a wild hint. Wow. All right, Jack.
2016 home run leader. All right.
Yeah.
Oh.
And there's Rich. There he is.
God, that ended up on the Yankees.
Leave it up.
I think it's
still not 100% on it.
It could be one of two. I think I got two names, and I'm just trying to figure out the timing.
Oh.
I didn't even think it was going to be a player of significance like that.
Yeah, I may have to just take the backwards K here. I can't remember anyone that would have played for the Yankees in 16 or 17 that led the league in 16.
Back with the open net tonight. Joe, what do we got?
Oh, it's one of two names, and I can't think of the years that he left.
Joseph.
It's one of two teams he came from.
Because now I'm really feeling confident about this guess.
What are these teams that he came from, Joe?
It's either a guy who came from the Blue Jays or was primarily a Blue Jay, or a guy who came from the Astros. Edwin Encarnacion.
It is not Edwin Encarnacion.
That's a good guess.
2019.
That was 2019. Yes. All right. I know the other guy. Rich is going to get it right now.
Is it Mark Reynolds?
It is not.
No.
Rich. You fricked it up.
I don't know if I did.
I put it on a T for you.
No, because I don't think it's that guy.
I know who it is.
I don't think it's that guy.
It'll only be that guy. He was run out.
No. Oh, no, now I know who you're talking about. Yeah, it's terrible.
I have one name in my mind.
Here's where Corey's going to absolutely just snipe me. I get no points. And guys, I'm just let you know from now on, I'm only using the team, Corey.
The problem is he didn't.
I handed you the team.
He didn't. Is it Lance Berkman?
Oh, it is not Lance Berkman.
Church, wrong pew. Can I say it?
Sure.
It's Chris Carter.
It is Chris Carter.
Oh, wow.
Chris Carter led the majors in home runs in 2016 with the Brewers hit 41, and then he
was at baseball 2 years later.
That's too.
He played 6 games with the Yankees. He ends up when he leaves is when Greg Bird comes up. Greg Bird comes up in 2017.
That's a guy who could have used Driveline. Following that offseason. That's a guy, certainly. Chris Carter. And, because Joe, when you mentioned the Astro thing, I was like, oh, this idiot.
It was one of the two, and I could get the year.
And you know what's funny? Berkman. I was thinking Chris Carter, but in my mind, I thought it was Chris Davis. And that's why I'm getting this point. I thought it was Chris Davis.
Yeah.
When you said Chris Davis, I was like, damn. Because I'm like, Corey just got it wrong, but Corey knows it. And I
had Chris with the K, but I forgot it was Carter, not Davis.
I was like, Chris with a K wasn't a Yankee.
Listen,
so Joe gained 2 points, Corey gained 2 points, I gained the point, Tom gained the point. Yeah,
Jack, before we get you out of here, I got one last question to you, and this is kind of I hope a fun question for you. If you're building a pitcher from scratch, and I'm assuming left-handed, right-hand is going to be a little different. If you could assign particular pitches or give me a template of a guy you would make. So if a right-handed pitcher, what kind of pitches, let's say 4 pitches, right? We'd all like to have 6 like McLean, but give me 4 pitches. If you were building a pitcher from scratch, guy comes in, he's like, I've only ever thrown a fastball. I want to, mix it up. I want to learn 4 pitches and have a great mix. Right-handed, left-handed, what are you looking for, and what do you think is going to service them best, going forward and making themselves the hardest possible person to hit?
Yeah, I think there are a few different ways you can go with it. I think I'd start with if I could just like pick a fastball to have, I think it'd be something with high ride, like or something deceptive. If it's from a lower slot, like Brian Wu, his necessarily doesn't have the most ride, but it crosses the plate in a way that it's going to get whiffs. And I think if you can establish a good fastball, that kind of makes everything else easier. I view a high ride fastball as something that is roughly platoon neutral. Like if you're a righty with a good fastball, you can good forcing fastball, you can get righties and lefties out. From there, I think I'd probably go to a sweeper and a changeup. So with those two things, you can basically cover your bases against same-handed guys. You can get whiffs with the sweeper. Opposite-handed guys, you can get whiffs with the changeup along with chases outside the zone. Then one thing I think, if I could pick something that's, I think making a comeback is kind of, they like Treads called it like a death ball. I think just like any sort of tight breaker that gets negative, kind of like a traditional curveball, but not in the loopy Kershaw sense, but something hard and moving north-south. I think, put differently, I guess, if you can cover the like cardinal directions of go north, south, east, and west, you're set up pretty well with a guy like Paul Skeens can make the ball move in all different directions. Nolan McLean, like you mentioned. And then I think one of the underrated ones is Jansen Junk, who trains with us, that he can get the high ride and the curveball and the sweeper and the changeup. Just doesn't throw that hard. But yeah, I mean, it makes you just so excited for guys like Nolan McLean, where like here's 96 and field to throw 6 different pitches that are just filthy. Yeah.
And I'm gonna put you on the spot for one last question. Maybe a guy that hasn't contacted you or you've tried to get that, you know, like if there's a guy out there,
Jack, he could be watching. You don't know.
If there's a guy out there that you're like dying to get in here, like be like, man, maybe we could tweak this one thing and this guy can just take off. Is there a name that you're willing to throw out there that we can try and get the press to him of being like, hey, you know, call Driveline, man. They're going to help you out. Is there a guy that you're looking at and you're like, I would love to get my hands, you know, virtual hands on this guy?
Yeah, no, I think I'll go with a little bit of the homer pick being a Reds fan, but I think Ke'Bryan Hayes is a really good candidate. For a few reasons. One, he's got the floor of the glove where like he's going to put up like 2 WAR a year just by like showing up at third base every day. He also has a history of hitting the ball hard. Like he has not been the type that just can never get to top end exit velos or hit the ball over 100 miles an hour. It just seems like a lot of path issues. Some stuff similar to what we've worked on with like Ahmed Rosario and figuring out the path that works to kind of optimize the ball flight. I hate to use that term because it's not that simple, obviously, but figure out a way where we can hit the ball to the most productive spots. Usually that's pulling the ball in the air. Right now, Ke'Bryan Hayes rolls over a lot and hits ground balls at third base, or all his hardest hits are between the shortstop and third baseman. Being able to figure out a way where we can maybe tap into that power more. And in addition, he's on that is a 7-year deal. Like he's locked up for a while. And the glove's so good. I think with just a few changes, we could see a pretty productive player.
Okay,
Jack,
great.
It's been a pleasure, man, having you on. This will definitely not be the last time we see you around at the plate. Definitely want to tap more into this conversation because we go all day with all this. There's a lot of great information here. So look forward to having you on for a future edition of Empire State of Baseball. And guys, what's going on over at Driveline is really starting to drive the game of baseball now. I mean, this is really cool stuff, especially some of the recent stories that are just even affecting our own players that we're watching on our screens here in New York. And Jack and his extensive team, folks over there, are a big reason to some of the improvements in a lot of these players' game. And so, Jack, really do appreciate your time, man, today. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll talk to you soon.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. It was a good time.
Great, thanks, Jack.
Jack. It was awesome.
Take care, Jack. All right, then that is Jack Lambert. You can give Jack a follow, by the way, over on X. Jack Lambert _ over there. Really cool conversation there.
Yes.
And great job leading that. And looking forward to talking more with Jack, maybe even connecting more with what's going on over at Driveline Baseball as we're entering new lanes to talk MLB, like talking baseball. Like, I didn't think a few years ago when we started this show, like we'd get so deep into the science, and here we are, like a bunch of dorks. But this
it's
stuff,
interesting too. When you talk about like having the sensors on the arm, I find that stuff so interesting. That was a cool discussion. Like he even said it's good points because you think about it. I love the comment that Jack made about a pitcher's going out there thinking, oh, I threw 60 pitches, but yeah, what about everything else? Everything else just fooling around in practice and stuff like that. That was a good discussion.
Yeah. And I just think this is part of the game of baseball now. This is this is, if anything, just getting started and becoming the future of baseball, where you're gonna have to go. There's gonna be the top end physical talent that doesn't have to go because that's the gift. But the middle of the road players that want to compete and want to gain a competitive advantage, they're gonna have to go through these processes and figure it out. And I'm just so curious because we're maximizing velocity, we're maximizing spin, injuries are at an all-time high, innings pitched are at an all-time low. I'm just curious where we're going as Corey just spills his. I'm just curious where we're going in the pitching world because I want both, right? I want that guy throwing 99 for 7 innings. I want to see that guy throw 7-8 innings. I want to see the complete game come back from time to time. Mm-hmm. And so I want to see if these guys can get, over here at Driveline and all the other places can get us back to that point where, that stuff can become a reality again. It's not just how hard you throw, how hard you can spin it, but let's figure out how to get the human body back to durability, back to stamina as well. So I think that's a very interesting one. I think the youth thing is really interesting because I think there's a lot of bad habits kids get into. And I Rich, we've been in the schoolyard where guys are trying to throw the length of the schoolyard and trying to throw hard as they can. And we're just crapping around in the schoolyard. But, that mixed with what goes on in practice, mixed with what goes on in the games, I think there's a level where, kids can get bad habits and that can affect them the rest of their life, particularly if they have talent and they have the ability to throw. Make sure those habits are good habits, and that can help you a long way as you grow up.
100%. Again, great conversation, and looking forward to connecting with Jack more. It was a great interview there with Mr. Lambert. Corey's cleaning himself up right now. While Corey's doing that, we'll talk about X. Talk about X real quick. Look, we got Corey Favs back in the mix, so we'll get him back going up here. Corey looks very, very dry now. That's good. That's good. That's first. I mean, you've been doing this 160 times, drinking on every single show. I mean, you've never spilled anything on you. So
drinking an alcoholic. I'm drinking a non-alcoholic Guinness.
Oh, that's your first problem. Oh, good for you, man. Well,
non-alcoholic Guinness.
Corey, I'll let you clean up over there a little bit. We'll get into Instagram shortly, but let's talk about X real quick. You make sure to give us a follow over on the artist formerly known as Twitter. That's at ESP Podcast. Give our subsidiaries a follow at ESPNYM, at ESPNYY. Have a lot of great programs throughout the week that's happening under the DSM banner. Bronx Take Monday through Thursday over on X, ESPNYY. As I mentioned before, we got the Clubhouse and Shape Up. Those are YouTube shows, but you know what? They also happen on X too, so we got to give them some love. Queens Boulevard, our Mets space that happens Fridays at 2:00 p.m. We have our post-game space, Extra Innings, which we'll get to after tonight's show. We've got a new program added to the mix. It's not on the schedule because we really can't schedule it. It's our New York Yankees post-game show, which Big Slick and Chris have been doing a great job hosting over on X. We'll keep you posted on when we go live with our post games. So we're going to flip over to the Empire Express. Now, typically I would just go out and ask Corey and Joe first. All right, what's the vibe like with the New York Mets? How you guys feeling? But you know what? Instead of just asking them, let's just tap back to a little video that's making the rounds now over on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. So Joe from let's
we gotta watch this whole thing. We gotta watch this whole thing.
We are, absolutely we are. Take it away, Joe.
Jesus Christ.
Next minute, I'm here in my garage with the tools behind me because
I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is.
Better nowhere. Okay.
Swept by the Colorado Rockies. Listen, I don't care if it isn't his fault, Mendoza has to go today. You cannot, under any circumstances, get swept by the Colorado Rockies at home. And listen, Senga, you better brush up on your Japanese, pal, because you're done too. You need to go. The dead weight on this team needs to be gone tomorrow. Vientos, you better make sure that you talk to Trevor Bauer and learn how to play for the Long Island Ducks, because they need a first baseman.
Bring that guy into it.
Mark
Vientos seems like a good guy. We don't need to introduce him to human film.
I gotta say, one of the most entertaining post game reviews we've done since we brought it back here to TikTok and YouTube. Even you got Joe requesting that Kodai Senga relearns his native country. So Joe, that was you yesterday. I can't think the vibes changed much since.
No, I mean, listen, the Mets. We went through this purge. But the purge was, Alonso Diaz leaving, trading Nimmo, trading McNeil. The problem is the purge kept the dead weight on the team and got rid of the good players. Vientos stinks. I'm sick of looking at Senga. He's got to go. He's got to go. David Peterson stinks. He's got to go. There's good on this team being dragged down by dead corpses, okay? And
yeah, but Joe, you guys have a really cool.
They can't unzip the body bags to dump these guys, and I've seen it.
Joe, you guys have really cool construction vests now. So you didn't talk about that good part.
Forget that.
It's important.
The Mets are dragging dead bodies all over the place. Vientos is a dead body. He stinks. And here's the problem. And I thought about this the other day, and Corey, we talked about this in our Mets chat. If you go back to when Pete Alonso came up, since Pete Alonso, who's been the most productive person that the Met farm system has produced? David Peterson? Francisco Alvarez? Beatty stinks. Mauricio stinks. I like Beatty. I feel bad telling him that, but he stinks. Vientos stinks. They've developed nobody on the pitching side. They've developed almost nobody out of the bullpen. And the 8 GM carousel that we had since 2018 that went through 2023 is rearing its ugly head. We could blame David Stearns all we want, and David Stearns did a piss poor job constructing this roster. Part of it's not his fault. Soto was hurt. Lindor's hurt. Polanco's hurt. They haven't seen the lineup as it was supposed to be constructed basically all year. They played together for 8 games, and that was the only 8 games that they were good for. But at the end of the day, he has nothing in him. He's got nothing with these guys. None of these guys. The first guy that's come up is Benji. I don't expect him to be great at day one. He's got McLean up. But after that, where's the reinforcements? There is no one. There's no one in the system at the moment that's ready. It's taken time. And we have not developed a decent position player since Alonso in 2019. The Yankees have a similar issue, although Ben Rice is now looking like the guy. The Yankees had a similar issue with Judge, but Judge is an all-world player. You can forgive a lot of the transgressions of guys like Dominguez and Volpe when Judge is hitting 60 home runs a year. The Mets don't have that. And as good as Soto is, he's not Judge. He's a great player, he's not Judge.
Yep.
So there's no reinforcements. That they turned over the roster, which needed to be turned over. But the problem is you left the dead bodies in the backyard. You're moving around the yard and you're dragging the body bags from your fucking gym shorts. That's the problem. You can't dump them. All right,
Corey, I'm going to need you to jump in because Joe is now speaking nonsense.
He's delirious.
Joe needs to be reset.
I mean, the problem with the Mets right now, too, and it's the complete opposite of the second half of last year. The second half of last year, I feel like the Mets actually had a decent offense. The offense wasn't the problem. The offense was scoring like 5, 6, 7, 8 runs a game. The problem is the pitching was giving up 8, 9, 10, 11 runs a game. Last year, it was the pitching that folded down the stretch. This year, it's the complete ineptness of the Mets lineup. And it's not like a 2015 version of the Mets, where the 2015 Mets were struggling to have consistent offense as well. The thing is, you had like 2 or 3 guys in the lineup who had no business being in the lineup. Guys like a Campbell, like a Mayberry Jr., Alejandro De Aza, guys like that, where all of a sudden you bring in a Cespedes, you call up a Conforto, you bring in a Kelly Johnson, and all of a sudden you have a legitimate lineup and you solve your holes in the lineup and you're good to go. David Wright came back from injury. This team is not like that. Yes, Soto missed a couple of weeks. Lindor's been out now a week. But the rest of Flacco's been out. But the rest of your lineup, for the most part, are guys who are supposed to be here. And everyone across the board is struggling. The only guys that hit, Soto hit the first 5 games. He was hitting like 370 before he got hurt. Lindor had a great series versus Pittsburgh opening week. He was hitting like 400, a bunch of extra base hits, then did nothing. So he might have 1 hit since that game. Bo Bichette is basically like 1 for 50 with runners in scoring position. That's the guy who's supposed to hit 400 with runners in scoring position. And then the bottom half of the lineup, guys like Vientos, like Beatty, like Joe was saying, they haven't done nothing, and you want to preach run prevention. The only thing that they're preventing are the Mets scoring runs. You're not preventing the other team giving up runs. Run prevention this, run prevention that. Meanwhile, you got a first baseman out of position. You got a third baseman out of position. You're now down to a shortstop. And again, it's because Lindor got hurt, but Mauricio has barely played shortstop recently. He's been getting most of his action at second base and third base. You have right fielders out of position when Benj isn't playing out there. It's just a complete mess. It's a complete and utter mess. And I don't know how to fix this team. 2015, I was like, yeah, get a couple of pieces. You need a big bat and just 1 or 2 decent hitters. The Mets executed that plan perfectly, and it worked. It changed that team. I don't have a plan for this team. There is no plan. The players simply got to perform. It comes down to that. The players have to perform to the back of their baseball card. They simply are not. And again, yeah, it's early, but you're 10 games under 500 getting swept by the Rockies. Yeah. And it's not like you're putting up good outings. In a doubleheader, you scored 1 run versus one of the worst teams in the sport. 1 run. What are you doing? I have no fix for this team, and I have no reason to believe they'll turn it around.
Here's the thing. I don't care if you don't have a present-day solution for some of these guys. I can't watch them anymore. If I watch Senga another start, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to actually have a stroke because I can't watch the guy. He can't throw strikes. Right now. And when he throws strikes, they get tattooed. He's done. I'd rather watch Tong struggle if he's not even ready.
I agree.
Just bring Tong up. At least I'll root for the kid to succeed. At this point, I'm rooting for Senga to join the freaking war effort in Iwo Jima. I can't watch the guy anymore. I can't do it. Same with Vientos. I can't watch this guy struggle at the plate. Bring up Clifford, the big red dog. Let him freaking strike out 250 times. I don't care.
There goes the Japanese demographic. You're really trying to appeal to the people in the Far East. All right, well, there you have it. New York Mets baseball, folks. Look, here's the thing. Corey, I'm still because here's the thing. If it was flipped on the other side, the Yankees are going through this mess right now. We'll get to the Yankees in a little bit. I'm still subscribed to the Corey Favs, the first checkpoints Memorial Day. So, Corey, are you still buying your philosophy? Because it feels like you're going in the complete opposite direction from the Corey Favs I know.
Here's the problem. I'll be a man of my word. And I'll abide by my philosophy, and I'll hold off another 5 weeks before I officially make my declarations on the season. But the problem is it's not an enjoyable product right now. At least last year when they were scoring runs and it was exciting. Yeah, they were losing games, but at least the games themselves were fun. These games are not fun. I mean, when you got Michael Lorenzen out there pitching to the Rockies, who has a 7 ERA, going 7 2/3 innings, shutting out your team, it's not fun. I'd rather watch the paint dry or read a book than watch the Mets right now, like Joe said. And I don't have an easy path to fix it. Lindor's probably not coming back until the end of June. I don't know how long he's out. They never formally announced it, but he's going to be out the whole month of May. So I don't know. The problem with the Mets is they have to play I think I don't quote me on the numbers. I forget the numbers off the top of my head. It's something like 30 games over 500 down the stretch in order to hit 90 wins. They're not getting 30 games over 500. So the Mets' only hope right now is find a way to maybe you get 85 wins, and maybe that's enough for the third wild card. But I'll be a man of my word. You know what? I'll give them Memorial Day because I've lived and died by that motto. So let's do it.
So, guys, we saw Alex Cora obviously get fired. World Series champion, a guy who I think is really respected throughout all baseball. People think he's a really good manager. Joe, you talked last week about what, the road, and then the Mets have kind of a light road ahead of them and just kind of save Mendy's job. When does he go? I mean, how bad does this have to get? Because it seems at this point, like, if a guy like Corey gets fired, like what is like the Mets got to do something to spark this.
I said it when they come back home off this road. They got the Nationals. Now, if he gets swept by the Nationals, he's not hitting the road with the team. But I believe it was May the 12th or something. They come back and they have Detroit, and then they have the Yankees on Memorial Day weekend. Mm-hmm. If they are if they have a rough road, if they have a rough road trip, he is not managing the Yankee game. There's no way.
To Corey's point, if you think this team has enough talent to make a playoff run, and I think you got to do it sooner than later.
I agree. He should have been gone after yesterday. He should have been gone.
I just don't know a guy who hasn't really proven anything. Why you're sticking with him?
I don't know why either. Cora is now a free agent. I would, and here's the chance for to invoke a little George. I hate to say it. Cohen needs to do that. Cohen needs to say this is unacceptable. It might not be his fault, but he can't continue being the manager, and say adios to Mendoza. He's got to go. He's got to go. At the minimum, he's failed to bring this team together as a cohesive unit. At the maximum, he's a dead man walking. The fans don't want him here. They're sick and tired of him. And again, it's not all his fault. It's not fair, but you're going to drag him along. At the end of the day, you got to turn around and tell him this is an acceptable. They've been the worst team in baseball since June 30th last year.
Yep.
Been one of the worst teams in baseball. Yep. So to me, the decision's easy. Fire him. I don't care whether you put Beltran in, Mr. Met can manage. Put him in for 2 weeks if Cora wants to.
I don't know. I saw Mr. Met flip off a fan once. I don't know if you want that kind of press.
Alex Cora is available. We making Matt. We discussed the top 5 managers in the sport. Alex Cora is one of them. Yep. He's available.
Well,
whatever's going on in Red Sox land is whatever's going on in Red Sox land. The owner can't even come out and talk about it. He's a coward, Henry. So take his mistake and make it your fortune. That's what the money buys. See, this is the thing. If you want the money to mean nothing and say, I have the most money in the sport, this is a move that says, I have the most money in the sport. The other top teams don't need managers. I need a top manager in the sport. I'm going to fire my guy. I'm going to hire the guy that I could spend whatever. I write him a blank check to be here tomorrow. And that's what they got to do. That's what they got to do. And maybe Cora's not going to turn this ship around, but at least you have him and the manager isn't a problem for the next 5 years.
Ricky Keeler goes right now when SNY shows Mendoza. It looks like he wants to be put out of his misery. He also goes different with Cora. Is Stearns hired Mendoza? Breslow did not hire Cora, so I guess that's more of a benefit towards him being available to other teams. Eli, I think Cora would do better with a veteran roster than the useful roster in Boston. Plus, and Ricky adds here, I don't know why I can't click on it. Why can't I click on it? Plus, you could steal Cora from Dabrowski. The Phillies are spinning. Yeah,
the Phillies are going to hire him. So beat him to the punch
again.
It's not like you're 5 games over 500 and you don't need to fire your manager. You need to fire your manager. 9-19. Fire your manager and get one of the best managers in the sport in here.
Meanwhile, on the other side of East River, Thomas, things are going well for the New York Yankees. Actively, actually, in the middle of their first game of 3 games set against Texas Rangers, they're up 4-0 in the bottom of the fourth inning. 3 home runs hit by the Yanks tonight. Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, and the pictured Jazz Chisholm Jr. And look, the Yankees had an 8-game win streak. It was snapped on Sunday. Had a tough start there by Luis Hill, who's been since optioned here. Look, Tom, I mean, when it comes down to a team that's rolling right now, 10-3 in their last 13. I mean, it's tough to pick out the problem areas. I mean, yes, I'm sure there are minimal concerns we can go through, but I think you're seeing this team really click on all cylinders, especially with starting pitching, for one. I mean, starting pitching is going to win you more ball games when it's effective. And we've seen in years past when the Yankees had their midseason swoons, a root cause was bad starting pitching. The fact that you had guys that were struggling getting 4 or 5 innings, and then you had to tap into your bullpen early on top of the offense looking flat. I think, what I've seen so far through these 28 games of the season, this Yankees team doesn't go quiet in the night. Even in their losses, they make it interesting. So I'm liking the style of play, aggressiveness on the base paths. They have an interesting roster scenario that they're going to have to deal with this week. Giancarlo Stanton possibly landing on the IL, possibly just being day-to-day. Tom, your overall thoughts, though, on the New York Yankees?
They look good. I mean, I'm not breaking any news there, but they look good. And to your point, what I really liked over the this last week, definitely, is I felt like past couple of years, the Yankees have gotten to games where they've win, but they win close. It's a game. It's 3-1. It's 3-2. You got to go to their A bullpen. They were doing that a lot earlier in the season. They were winning a lot of these 1-run games, close games. Past week, they've had a bunch of games where I felt like they had the lead, and then they extended it, and it's like, you know what? Bednar, Duvall's question being a high leverage reliever, but I feel like they've taken these games that previously they would have been tight, and you got to really put all that effort in to lock it down, and then kind of extending the lead, and I think that's just good for the team. You couple that with what we've seen recently. Fried looks good so far tonight. Just picked off a guy. And Schlittler especially, they're not just, pitching well, or low ERA, striking guys out, all that kind of stuff. They're pitching deep into games. I mean, Fried especially is going really deep. It's helping reset the bullpen. Another bad calling card I felt like recently from the Yankees is these guys going 5 2/3 or 6 innings. If you got like 6 2/3, you're like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. Since the days of Walter Johnson, I haven't seen someone pitch into the 7th inning. And I think it's just good. Again, it resets everything. Ben Rice has looked great again. He mentioned he had another home run tonight. Jazz heating up another home run tonight. Maybe he truly was just cold, and he's in the heat now, and he's feeling better. But you gotta like what you see. There are areas to improve, and I'm sure we'll get into those as we go out through the season. But so far, it looks good. Heel going down, right move. He's been bad. He's been really bad. Even he started against the Red Sox, he wasn't good. The Red Sox were just embarrassingly bad. So yeah, I like what we're seeing.
0.80 career ERA, by the way, for Luis Hill against the Red Sox. So he's just had this period of dominance against Boston. An intriguing story, and I mentioned a bit of the roster crunch. The Yankees did call up Jason Dominguez today. He's in today's starting lineup. Some of the Yankees option to begin the year. Where do you see that going with Dominguez? You see this as just like a temporary, like while Stanton's is out, or could this be an opportunity once again for Dominguez to try to run with? We see Trent Grisham's batting still below 200. Although a lot of the nerds will point out the advanced analytics and say, oh, this is the reason why Trent should be in there every single day. But this could be an opportunity again for Dominguez to step in a big way. I mean, he's hit well on both sides of the plate in AAA to start the year.
I'll channel my inner Joe Pugliese. You can't have him starting every day if he can't catch a fly ball. And he is still, we have seen enough of him in the minors this year of still struggling with routine fly balls. And yes, Trent Grisham has struggled. I guess batting average is low. He's walking a lot, so that certainly is helping him, especially with batting leadoff in front of Judge and Rice. He's getting on base, You'd like to see him hit better. Also, I'm not saying I don't want him to, but he needs to be able to, if he can catch a fly ball adequately. I don't need him to be plus. I don't need him to even be average. He can be like a below average defender. I think he would absolutely have a spot on the team. But he hasn't proven he can do that yet. I as the Yankees have for so long, we were talking about the Mets. When Corey was like, the first baseman's out of position, the third baseman, the right fielder. How long were we talking about that with the Yankees? Mm-hmm. How long are we talking about that? We have Miguel Andujar playing left field, and we have DJ LeMahieu playing first. And it was like, guys, just like get people who like play these positions. It really is helpful.
They have players playing their proper position. I think one of the bigger question marks coming in is what Ben Rice is going to be. Ben Rice is your first baseman. And I was one of those, and I remember having arguments with Joe all offseason that, maybe the Yankees just need to change the guard. If they have 3 left-handed hitting catchers, why don't they just keep the best offensive one and Ben Rice call it a day? Ben's been great at first base. He's done well on both sides of the ball. He's hitting righties as well as he's hitting lefties. I mean, he's doing it all. Corey, Joe, from your side, I know it's tough right now with everything going on, but how do you guys see it from your end when it comes to the pinstripes?
I just find it insane. Like, you go back, let's say about 2 weeks ago when the Mets were starting their 13, 12-game losing streak, whatever it was, the Mets and Yankees were on a similar trajectory. They had almost the same exact record. They were both in because the Yankees had like a 5-game losing streak when the Mets had a 5-game losing streak. Mm-hmm. And they almost made it like 8 in a row. If they didn't have the 2 walk-off wins versus the Angels that one series, the Mets and Yankees both would have had like 8-game losing streaks simultaneously. It's absolutely insane how we got to a point where 2 weeks into the season, the teams were within a game of each other, went through the same week-long losing streak, and one team just absolutely clicked, and it's now 8 games over 500, aka the Yankees, and the other team has just completely fallen off a cliff. The Mets, 10 games under 500. It's crazy. And I guess the one thing, Met fans, if you want something to grab on, even though there's nothing to grab, look at that 2-week window where for both teams it looked pitiful, and it took 2 weeks for the Yankees to find themselves all of a sudden 8 games over 500. So if the Mets could find that type of magic, they won't. If they could find it, we could be in a situation maybe in 2 weeks' time you're a couple games under 500. Let's get to Memorial Day within 4 games of 500. Like, let's say they're 4 games under 500 Memorial Day. I actually think that would be a win. So that's what I just want to say. The Yankees, I tip my hat off to you guys. You guys completely turned it around when things were looking dim. I hope my team could do the same.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Dominguez is interesting. I don't think the bat was really a question. I think the question on whether he could hit both sides of the plate, I think, was the only question with the bat. I think he was always going to be a productive bat, but as Tom said, if he can't catch a fly ball, he's not going to earn the trust, even if Grisham is not playing well. So, Dominguez has a chance here to figure out his stuff in a hurry and work and work his way back into the lineup, work his way back into some playing time. And wouldn't it be ironic that he lost his job basically last year to Trent Grisham when Trent Grisham had an outstanding season? And if he comes up and produces, Trent Grisham has a chance to lose his job back to Dominguez this year. So, if that is the case, that would be, I think, a positive, because you're looking at somebody who you're hoping is still part of your future, not part of your past. The Yankees are going to need a young outfielder to be part of their future. Trent Grisham is a free agent after this year. So that's the really important question. They got Volpe back. Caballero moves back into a role that he should be in, which is a 4-day-a-week utility player that plays 4 different positions. He's going to be better served doing that than, I believe, starting. He's a very useful player, but he's not starting shortstop. So we're going to see what Volpe has. I think this is Volpe's last chance as well. But the Yankees are surviving the fact that the bottom of the order has been very, very poor to start the year. They've survived that, and now if they can start getting a little bit more offense, whether it be out of Volpe, whether it be out of Dominguez coming up, they'll be in good shape.
And I think with Dominguez, it's important to point out, because we've seen it for so long. Dominguez today is still a year younger than when Judge was when he debuted.
Yeah.
So Dominguez is still so young.
He's a young guy.
And I think, God, I would think someone who's as athletic as him could just learn to catch a fly ball.
Yeah.
Joe, I would love to see him take Grisham. And I don't really hate Grisham, but for the long-term success of the franchise, it'd be good if he could take that spot back from Grisham, become the everyday starting left fielder, and we go from there.
Yeah. I just want to see him get off the ground running with the bat, because we've seen the bats there. I mean, is he a quadruple A player offensively, or has the woes defensively kind of weighed on his at bats on the major league level? I think this is an interesting opportunity, especially with Stanton. If he is hurt, to see Dominguez just be a DH and just hit, maybe that confidence he can carry with him into the field as well, given that opportunity in the major league level. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out for Jason. But yeah, absolutely pulling for the guard. And we look across Major League Baseball, we see this too. When we're ready to give up on a top prospect, I'll just focus in on outfielders. Look at a guy like Joe Adell, who was a first-round draft pick. Did nothing for those first 4 years. He's been one of the top outfielders in baseball over the last couple of years. Look at Jordan Walker with St. Louis. He's off to one of the best offensive starts in the big leagues thus far. It's taken the Cardinals a while to entrust Jordan Walker. So you're hoping Dominguez can get into that breadth of conversation, because I think with the bat he has it. It's just,
I think 3 years ago in our season preview, I took Jordan Walker to be Rookie of the Year. So
yeah, you did. You make a lot of shitty predictions. Listen,
we weren't wrong. We were just early.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. The warning I will heed. So the next time we're here, it will be for May 4th. May the 4th, Star Wars night here at Empire State of Baseball. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We got a Star Wars themed show. First time we're doing that, but we gotta really, pull off the whole gimmick here. When I look ahead at the Yankees schedule in May, and typically this is, from a historic, the May has always been the best month for the Yankees. But I look at the schedule, and look, you're facing the Orioles, you're facing the Jays, you're facing the Orioles, you're facing the Rays, you're facing the A's, you're facing the Mets. I mean, I know these guys around here is like, I got nothing to worry about. They stink. I'm not 2 weeks from now, we could be having a different conversation if the Mets figure it out. The Milwaukee Brewers. So it's a tough schedule in May. So it'll be interesting if the Yankees continue that trend of dominance in the month, or will this be a swoon month because of the schedule alone? If the Yankees come back and continue the trend that they're working on, I think, Tom, by the end of the month, we may be looking at one of the best teams in all of baseball. I mean, I know they're already in that conversation. I'm still, even on the good, it's tough to kind of pick that apart before Memorial Day, but it's going to be a tough schedule for them. But if they're on the better half of that, they're in that conversation.
I mean, Rich, also keep in mind, we are probably in the month of May getting Carlos Rodon back, and not soon after Garrett Cole. So a team that's starting pitching is going to strength. It could get a whole lot stronger. Again, still think there's a bunch of questions that have to be addressed, but I think that starting pitching could be special.
Yep. So more to come on it, but we're gonna wrap things up. Corey Favs, let's talk Instagram, and then we'll send everybody home.
Yeah, go ahead and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow us at Empire State of Baseball. You'll find meme reels. You'll find our Mets minutes, Rivera rewinds, clips from the show. You want it, you can get it over on Instagram and the talk. Again, it's Empire State of Baseball on both. If you're watching us on the gram right now, thank you. Go over to YouTube so we can interact with your comments. We can see the Instagram comments on the show. But thank you, though, for those who are tuning in.
We've been playing around with going live on Instagram again. I don't advertise it as much as I used to, because it's still not really the preferred method. Like, come on over to YouTube, come on over to X, but Instagram's 100%. Still there just in case things go crazy over here. But that's it for Empire.
180 plus 30 this week. Looks like plus 30 on the talk. We were like 150 last week, weren't we?
Oh, I didn't know that. Thanks for that. Yeah, absolutely. We didn't even update our numbers. So yeah, we're increasing steadily on TikTok. I think a lot of these videos that we're trying to shoot out more frequently than we normally, like, we had a whole year that we were using TikTok. So we're getting that going. So make sure to give us a follow on the talk if you haven't already. And I did say talk. All right. So let's finish this thing up. Empire State of Baseball 161 in the books. We'll see you next week for Star Wars night. And we got a New York Strike Exchange. We got a 2-week interval here. So we're going to get right back to the trading floor and all next week on the show. But let's wrap this thing up. Tom, Joe, Corey for the wrap.
Yankees up 4-0 right now. To my point earlier, I'd like to see them extend this lead. Let's make it an easier game, and let's keep it rolling.
That's it.
Yeah, big shout out to Jack Lambert. I really appreciate it. Thought we had a great conversation. Hope to see him again on the show, but really appreciate him coming on and giving us some insight into Driveline.
Yeah, big shout out to Jack. Great conversation. Big shout out to the chat for joining us as always. I do hope our May 4th edition of the show, we could have the Death Star just blast Citi Field and we can start from scratch. We'll go, we'll talk more on that next week. Until then, hope everyone has a great final week of April. We'll chat again on Monday and throughout the week on some of our various channels. Take care.